What up, peeps? Mr.Bones back at you, and it's day 21 of 31 Days of Hallowicked. And what we're going to be talking about is 2013's All Hallows Eve. This is a horror anthology set on Halloween, written and directed by Damien Leone. And it is where we first see Art the Clown, the serial killer clown from Terrifier that's on the fast track of becoming a modern day horror icon, slasher icon. This stars a different person as Art. It's not David Howard Thornton. It's a guy named Mike Gianelli. I thought he looked a little bit different. He looked pretty similar, but I could tell that it was someone else. It starts off with these two kids, Timmy and Tia, just got home for trick-or-treating, and they have a babysitter, Sarah, and the kid dumps his trick-or-treat bag out to sort through his candy and finds that he was given a VHS tape in his candy bag. Oh, what's this? Let's watch it. The babysitter's like, I don't think so. You don't know what's on that. That's pretty damn creepy that someone dropped a VHS tape in your bag. They talk her into putting it in. And it's an anthology of 3 stories. The first one is really weird. It's a girl waiting in a train station, like waiting for like a train or a bus, and Art shows up and sits across from her, waves at her, and then goes over and sits next to her and reaches in his little bag and gives her a flower which has a bug in it that freaks her out. She tries to run away and he grabs her hand and sticks a syringe into it, which knocks her out. And then she wakes up in like an abandoned subway tunnel with 2 other girls with chains around their neck that one by one eventually get drugged down the subway to like a cult of weird looking creatures. There's one guy in there that looks like a Toxic Avenger or some shit, mixed between the Toxic Avenger and the Swamp Thing. Starts chopping a girl up, and the other one gets gathered up by this group of people. One of them looks like a witch, and there's one of them that looks like Satan, and there's this woman there. She's pregnant, and they're sacrificing her baby or something, cutting her gut open and drinking her blood. And then the girl that had been drugged down there, they strip her clothes off and lay her on a table for him to knock up next, I guess. I don't know. And then goes off. And the second story is a lady home alone, and her husband's a painter, and she's describing on the phone to her girlfriend that he's working on some painting of an awful looking face, a scary face, and that's all there is to that. And then an alien randomly shows up in her house chasing her, and he's got like a metal breathing mask on with tubes in it that's shaped like an alien, but it's metal, and he's chasing her. She escapes a couple times, but eventually he catches her. He's dragging her across the floor, and she pulls the cover off the easel, and it's a painting of Art. And then the third one is all about Art. It comes on, there's this young girl who stops for gas and directions, and the gas attendant is just in the middle of running off Art and says, you can't be doing that, putting shit all over the floor and the walls and stuff, the stuff he's known for in the Terrifier movie, and telling him to leave. He starts to leave, and while this guy is talking to her and writing her directions and giving her gas, they hear a noise like the door shutting, which means somebody went back into the gas station or convenience store, whatever you call it. The guy's like, give me 1 second, and he goes in there, And he doesn't come out, so she goes in to check what's going on, and there's Art on the ground sawing a dude's head off with a hacksaw blade. With anyone who's seen Terrifier, you know he really likes his hacksaw. And then he goes to chase her, and she takes off in her car, and this makes him look supernatural. He just magically shows up in her back seat and puts a plastic bag over her head, and she gets into a wreck. And the whole movie is just, the whole thing is just him chasing her and stuff. She gets out and runs into this garage, like a garage or abandoned factory, bars the door, falls asleep, and he ends up crawling. It has a dirt floor. He ends up crawling up through the floor to get her. And it ends with her waking up with a bright light in her face and on a table, and has a little bandage right here. I don't know why he did that. I forgot to mention before this part, before he takes her to where he has her now, he like beats the living hell out of her with like a cat of nine tails made out of big chains and like scalpels and knives and a syringe tied to the end, and he's slinging in it, cutting her up, cuts her arm, and cuts a big hole in her face. Fast forward back to what I was saying, she wakes up with a bright light in her face and a bandage right here. It's almost like maybe she was waking up in a hospital, which would have been like was the art stuff a dream? But no. She got the bright light in her face. She looks over and sees a bunch of surgical tools like scalpels and bone saws and hacksaws and shit. Then she looks over to the other side and sees Art laughing at her and pointing, and he has cut a bunch of naughty words in her midsection: slut and bitch and pig and the C word, see you next Tuesday, and amputated all 4 of her limbs. It's been a while since I watched this one, so I realize he's just as brutal in this one where we first see him as he is in his solo movies. But he was loved so much, this character was loved so much in this anthology, that it made Damien Leone make Art his own starring movie. This one isn't starring the guy who plays him now, but I bet he wishes he stars him because he's a very loved character. He's not in All Hallows Eve 2, and I see nothing but people complaining in the comments, where's Art? So that shows how much love there was for Art, and that's why now he has his own 2 starring movies, 2 starring roles. It's a cool movie. I didn't care much for the second story. Didn't have Art, and it was boring, a silly looking alien chasing a lady. The first part was cool, the part with Art, but the part in the subway was kind of weird. The third part was the best part, and yeah, it was enjoyable, and that's what I watched. Peace.